Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. Today we are doing probably one of my favorite YouTube videos to watch, and that is sketchbook videos. I just finished this one. I started it in January of this year, and it was my goal to finish by the end because it's been a while since I've completed a sketchbook. I'm pretty bad at having lots of sketchbooks and just randomly drawing and sketching in them. So I decided this year I was gonna fill it all with this Moleskine, and I actually am excited because I finished a little early before the end of the year, which means I also got to buy a new sketchbook as well. So let's dive in and go through this sketchbook. Okay, so I use a extra large Moleskine for the size of this sketchbook. And first page up is, I went to Banff National Park, and so I kind of have some notes on there, a picture from that trip, and then little sketches. I won't talk about every page, some of them I will. Playing with line direction. I tried to print out pictures if I was gonna sketch from them to have those in there as well. A lot of these sketches in here I was just using mostly pencil. These are some notes for a series I was releasing. I included some acrylic stuff in here, value with some Copic markers. Again, some more notes. As I've been reading some landscape books, I've been putting notes in here on those. Just messing around with trees, testing some prints on canvas. This one didn't really turn out with the coloring, but I liked it enough to stick in my sketchbook. Playing with some line direction. A little bit of some brush pen and then watercolor. Looking at some different compositions on here. This was for one of my first YouTube videos where we painted this in a tutorial. Kept that in there. I did my practice warm-up sketches in here before I even went to this. Some more compositions. I really liked some of these quotes too that I found as I've been reading the art spirit. Don't try and paint good landscapes. Try to paint canvases that will show how interesting the landscape looks to you and your pleasure in it. And then some more sketches in here. Not every page is a completed sketch either, and that's okay. This was, I wanted to use highlighters to do this, and then this was another test print from a painting I did in gouache. More sketches. Some notes on varnishing. Thinking about positive and negative shapes in relation to doing clouds and how to paint them. I wanted to kind of sketch that out. Sometimes I used both sides, sometimes I used one, sometimes I just did barely anything. And that's okay, that's what sketchbook is for. How to create contrast, have some notes in here on this, on color, transparent and opaque. Really got into studying that with artists and really looking at that. Some more notes. Some fast compositions. This was the first composition I did of one of my favorite paintings I've done so far, which is Summit. And it's sold, so I wanted to put the date that it's sold on too, just so I had that to remember. And then also the finished painting of it, I wanted to tape in here. Testing out some colors with these compositions I was thinking about doing. A little more on those. Kind of trying to figure out these greens, value scale with them. getting really interested in cloud formations. Skies never really interested me that much before, until probably the last few months I've really gotten interested in clouds, and so I've been sketching a lot of different clouds in here as well. This is a picture from Grand Teton National Park on a hike, and was just doing a sketch of that. Later did a couple paintings of that. I loved that. Good old Chicago. Both of these actually. This was out by a park too in Chicago. I included this in here. This was my release of my West by Midwest collection, and my color palette was somewhat based off of that too. I started to use more towards the end more color in my sketchbook. Again, the beginning was mostly just rough sketches, and then I started applying watercolor to some of these and getting a little more into more charcoal as well instead of just pencil, and I loved the way these kind of turned out. Some cloud sketches within here as well. This was part of my West by Midwest collection, thumbnail sketches. Another painting that became a finished painting that started off with a sketch in here, early autumn. Another one of my favorite ones that I've done. And that was a photo from Grand Teton National Park as well, from a hike I did there. This was just barely a YouTube video I just did. I started out with actually just drawing it in my sketchbook and then transferring it over into the watercolor and doing that YouTube tutorial with it. Also wanted to keep a red leaf that I found on a walk with Riley in here as well. Added a little bit of some stuff at the end here with my Copic markers and trying to play with those fall colors of the aspen trees mixed in with the pine trees, and really looking at the shapes and forms in there. And then also really dissecting pine trees here towards the end, and just that outside shape, really playing with all of that. And then also the shadows on the one side with the light hitting, and then kind of figuring out where those were at in these. Playing with the trees a little more, and then the kind of a rough composition down here, and kind of transferring a little bit towards this end into more ink. Inktober kind of came around, and so I started sketching a lot more with even ink than at the beginning. And then last page of my sketchbook was an Inktober I just recently did of one of my fiddle leaf fig plant plants, not trees, but I don't know, in my house. And so I did 2 sketches of that before I did it with ink. And that is it for this sketchbook. So I put on the side my location, and then I put the month I started it and when I finished it. So adding this one to the shelf. Thank you for following along. Wow, we went through my sketchbook today. I hope you enjoyed it. I've started my next one and have been actually using a lot more gouache and watercolor in it. So stay tuned for that sketchbook tour. Hopefully sooner than what this one took me. I'm getting through sketchbook pages a lot faster because I've really made it a daily habit and routine of warming up in a sketchbook, which is so important to becoming a more professional artist and having that nice body of work in your sketchbook as well. So make sure you're keeping a sketchbook and give this a thumbs up if you like it. Make sure you're following along, and I will see you next time.